Hello, and this is Lindsay, and we're back for the second video in the Dreamcasting Your Life class. And today we're going to talk into the creation mindset, and this is kind of meant to go along with the creation and the conscious creator meditation that I want everybody to really start doing. And this is the one right of being I do want everybody to add into their daily lives at the onset of this class. The more you do it, the more you're going to start seeing changes faster and start finding clarity faster. But what I want to talk about today talks about a little bit of the foundational stuff about why this meditation is important, about why coming into this creator space or creatrix space is important. And a lot of times we don't know the difference between ideas and intuition. So unless you've been doing a lot of consciousness work, a lot of intuitive or psychic self-development all along, you pretty much are going to be like, well, there's a lot of stuff going on in my head. There are lots of different voices asking for lots of different things, and half the time I don't know which way I should be going, what I should be listening to, what I should be doing with all these different voices, all these different ideas. And so let's talk about ideas versus intuitions first. So ideas are egoic thinking. They are body emotion thinking, everything that's very physical in this world. And it's not that there's anything wrong per se about this egoic thinking. It is part of who you are. It is part of your whole. You can't separate, if you're on this plane, you can't separate body from soul right now. We have to work at integration instead. But what your body knows, what your ego knows, what your emotions know, is everything to do with its recorded past. It has nothing to do necessarily with your future, with your potential, or with what you are capable of manifesting in this world. It is only the past. Things we have picked up from other people, ideas, beliefs, things we have learned from our own personal stories and events, and even just the day-to-day routine stuff. I have to do this in order to be this way. I have to do this in order to get this done. It's all based on past. And past can be close to reality, if you want to look at it that way, but it still doesn't know the whole story. It's only ever half the story. So the minute you get caught in egoic fears, how can I do that? I am not that person. I hate math. I am not that person. I am not active enough to be, the yoga mom that I would love to be. You have to take a step back, because that's an egoic fear, and that's only ever half the story. Now, intuition is something that soul and spirit is guiding you to manifest. But it is not the full story either. It's only the seed. And we need the body and the ego and the emotions in order to begin to nurture those seeds into being so that we can manifest anything at all. And if we don't have the alignment where spirit or soul is in alignment with the body, with this very physical thing, the body, the mind, the emotions, it's not in alignment, we're going to get all screwed up. We're going to get so into resistance and so into fear and so into doubt that we can become paralyzed. We'll move on to a whole other new dream and try that one out. Or we'll believe so hard that we will eventually burn the physical self out trying to make this dream happen when we didn't realize that it was something more like a seed that actually has to be nourished into being. It's not like I had this wonderful idea for a business and that means it's going to instantly come into being successfully, profitably, tomorrow. No. These things need to be nourished. They need to be grown, and we need to grow with them through their growing cycle. Growing cycles. So in order to start finding the clarity that you think you're missing, because you're not actually missing it, you're just allowing thought to interfere with the actual seed intuition. You have to begin throwing out what you think you know. And I know this is going to sound hard, but let me get through this. When we're so used to just being in thought and not being in the open field of seeing all those seeds of potential, we are all caught up in thought circles. It has to be this way because of that and that and the other thing. I have to do it this way because that and that and that and that. I have to have this first, so da-da-da-da-da, thought circles. They don't really ever seem to end. They just kind of like keep looping around throughout your life. We have to let go of self-judgments. I suck at this. I'm not that kind of person. We have to let go of ideas about how the world works. The ideas like you have to work hard to make more money. All money comes to you because of merit. Spiritual people shouldn't make money. You have to let go of your stories, your ideas about who you are and why you are. I had a crappy childhood, and I want nothing to be like my parents at all, ever. But have you grown out of those patterns? Anyway, we also have to let go of things we've picked up from others. And sometimes you don't even know what you picked up from others. Sometimes that whole money story is something that you picked up from the media. Oh no, the economy is going into a downturn. I'll never be able to make money now. Oh no, I lost my 9-to-5 job. I am an irresponsible and horrible person. These are things that aren't necessarily personal to us, but they are stories that our families tell, our friend circles tell, our greater community circles tell, and even our nations tell. And we have to begin at least applying some seeds of doubt, some grains of salt to some of those things to even see how true we really believe they are. Because when we are caught up in ego, ego doesn't allow us to doubt what it thinks it knows. It knows things based on past experience, though. And we need the other half of the story. We need to find ways, and I have some supplemental resources on working with fear that you'll have access to. So we need to find ways to loosen the hold of some of those fear-based, past-based ideas, thoughts, patterns in our lives. And like I said, it sounds hard. But this is the beauty about the meditation. When you are, and as you become more fully able to bring in the light, that light is going to shine love, divine essence into all those places within you that you thought were dormant, that you thought perhaps weren't acceptable, that you thought you might never be able to live into. And that light is always going to be stronger than any fear-based thought. So when you're in that space in meditation, what you have to realize is that that is who you truly are. That is your divine potential. That is who you are meant to grow into bit by bit, day by day, breath by breath. And all the rest will seem to fall away. The doubt, the worry. Because none of that is who you are. And once you start finding those kernels of truth about who you are and what you really believe and what you actually want to put out into the world, everything is going to change. Your intentions are going to become aligned with your whole self and divine timing. And you're going to find a completely different flow. And this is the first step in planning. It's not just throwing some stuff on a calendar and hoping we can work it all out in the moment. It's just that we've become so mind heavy and so soul light that we don't even hear the difference until we begin to learn the difference of what fear sounds like versus what intuition is, and we start shedding some of our ideas about intuition means instant success. So like many other systems, we will have to reopen ourselves to possibility in the beginning, in these beginning stages of planning here. But instead of any old possibility, any old dream, or any old thing that could go on our bucket list, this is going to be a little bit more specific. And it's going to be more about what you need to learn, how you need to grow, what you need to discover about yourself. But we're only going to really work on one big change a year. So take that one dream and feel into what you need to learn in order to be the person who can nurture that dream into existence. And that will be your intention for the year. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about the intention building here, because that's really the next step in this. It's building the intention, finding the aim and the focus for our will and our energy. Because without that kind of focus and that kind of aiming, we're going to get scattershot results. We're going to get scattershot planning. There's going to be all sorts of distractions and stories that will come up. Like, you didn't do this in 3 months. Like, you don't get this. You suck. You should stop. Let's try a different dream. Let's try something else because this doesn't seem to be working for you. Or maybe this just wasn't meant to be because you just didn't instantly pull it out of your butt. That's all ego. That is all ego. And this is why I take a so much softer approach to intention forming and affirmation forming for your year. Because you don't know what you need to know until you actually know. And how can you actually build plans for all of that, solid, concrete plans, without knowing what you need to know? You can't. And that's why you have to take the time to dedicate a year, a half a year, a quarter at a time to learning how you need to be in order to get the results you want. And we're not talking about a level of zealousness in this either, where it's just like, I am all this, all the time. I am so tuned into my energy key of joy. It's going to be joy, 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 joy. That's because you're aiming for some kind of stereotype of this perfection personified of the stereotype. You still need to bring in the actual you-ness into that. How are you going to be in manifesting this goal with this energy key in this world? So you have the seed, and the seed seems like it's like this perfect stereotype. But you still have to do the work. This body, where it is in this moment, no matter how perfect or imperfect you judge this moment to be, is the moment you have to start this shit. And you got to do it. And you're not going to do it out of force, because that never works. And you're not going to do it out of guilt, because, well, that just, that will make your life suck. If you're always guilting yourself into doing something, it has to come from this place where you know you have that potential. You know, with maybe a little bit more self-love, maybe a little bit more self-care, you can start growing new energy patterns in you to start doing the things you need to do. Not out of force, not out of guilt, not out of shame, but out of sheer joy of doing it. Sheer love of just being in that space, in that time, in that moment. But we can't be afraid of committing to the work, because maybe we're going to be hard on ourselves. The more we practice this meditation, the more a lot of those things will start to fall away, or we'll start catching those weird egoic fear patterns and say, like, you know, I wouldn't let anybody else talk to me like that. Why am I letting my brain talk to me like that? That's utter nonsense. It's utter nonsense. That's only if, like, we're all expected to be perfect. And none of us are. None of us ever are. We're only expected to be our own light, our truest selves. And it's not perfect. It's just unique. But there are no quick fixes in manifesting. Sure, you can do some quick manifestations when you are in alignment, body, mind, soul, emotions, when it's all in alignment, when you are on fire with will, intention, and focus. Things can happen fastly. Things can happen fast. But never count on it, because it's not the results that matter. It's the growth that mattered. So no instant results, no quick fixes, and no end goals where everything is going to be perfect from that point on. None of that really exists, because we're all always in these cycles of creation and growth. And once we get someplace, or close to someplace, our goals and our manifestations and the seeds of intuition are going to start changing. New things will come to us, and we'll be asked to grow and expand and manifest in new ways. So we're never going to come to this point where everything's going to be perfect. We're never really going to come to this point forever where we're going to have that one idea just work. It all has to be framed within the continual process of becoming who we were meant to be, and not just one result at a time. So it's always about also being direct with the universe. Having will and preference is not a bad thing. It is not a unspiritual thing. Because we have will and preference doesn't mean that we are necessarily working out of divine timing, that we are forcing the issue, that we are being bullies to the universe. Sometimes the universe is waiting for us to make a choice, a commitment, an action, so that it can support us. Going with the flow doesn't mean never making a choice, never taking action. Choosing to be with divine timing, however, doesn't mean that, again, we never make a choice, we never make an action. We have to know when. I feel like I should be singing The Gambler here by Kenny Rogers. You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. That's divine timing. Divine timing isn't waiting for the perfect situation to fall on your lap. It's knowing where you are in your creation and intuitive process and going for it, going with it and going for it. Knowing when to put on the gas pedal and when to dogs, and when to start slowing down a little bit so that you can control where you are and make the choices you actually need to make, and the little itty bitty changes, the rights of being that you need to make in order to support an even greater thrust forward. So it's never about perfection, it's never about ending. It's always about this continual process of coming into being. So because we don't want to fall into some of the pitfalls of planning that perhaps in the past we fell into because of the lack of mindset and the lack of understanding that this is all really just a planned growth process. When we're forming the intention for the year, which is really the next step that you really need to do right now, starting to feel into what the big theme, the one big change you need to do this one year, as we're looking at planning the year first with dream casting, and then you break it down into the smaller quarters and months. You want to feel into what process, what journey, what hero's journey you want to make this year. What are you going to learn about yourself? What are you going to discover about yourself? What are you going to explore about yourself in relation to your one big goal that you're going to aim for? So the initial intention can be phrased something along the lines of, in 2000 whatever, I am going to explore how I need to be and the things I need to do in order to make my live streams very productive. So you could spend a whole year on that. You really could. In this coming year, fill in the year so you have a time thing in there. I'm going to learn how to hone my weight loss. No, I'm going to learn how to create a healthy lifestyle so that I can easily and joyfully lose weight and gain energy. You could spend a whole year on just that. And it's not about the little fast 5 plans, and it's not about doing all the little challenges necessarily. You need that one big overarching goal to get you where you need to be, because you need to learn to grow into new patterns, new energy, new emotions as you go through this process. Because it's not about us giving into resistance the minute we come into a bump or an obstacle or a wall or a mountain. We have to relearn kind of everything we thought we knew about planning and about creating change in our lives so that we can be part of this process and be in alignment and go through it with fire and passion and a whole heck of a lot less suffering. And that is kind of where your energy keys can come into being. And this is where the whole will versus us forcing the issue also plays into being, and why I wanted to talk about that first. We need to be direct with the universe. We need to be able to tell the universe what it is we want, and not just in this wish fulfillment sense. When you go into your creation, your conscious creator meditation, you want to kind of go into it with an intention to begin with. And it's not always like, I need an answer right now. In fact, it's rarely like that. But it's you opening yourself up so that you can have this kind of discussion, this interplay with the universe, so that you can begin asking important questions from the universe in this meditation space. Questions like, how else can this come into being? Or, what can I do today to bring this further into being? What's the, insert your core desired feeling or your energetic key, what's the most joyful way I can experience food and nourishment today so that I can move toward my health. And day by day, as you do this, and you can even try the conscious creator meditation once in the morning and once in the evening for a little while until you start getting a lot of clarity. A lot of saying, I know there are lots of diet plans I can try. I know there are lots of exercise plans I can try out there. I know I can probably hire my pick of any nutritionist I want to help get me, to help really nail down the action plan part. But how do I want to be in this? What is actually going to make me want to get up and do it and spend the money on it and spend the time on it? Because that is the question you need to start asking yourself about your goals right now. What does your true self say about those goals? And how can you bring those goals more into alignment and integrity with who you are and who you're going to grow into being? So I do have a little bit of structure around how to form goals and affirmations for your year and your quarter, because it's all going to be the same as we go through each little step. But don't feel like it has to be a certain way. And if you don't immediately or even in a week have the clarity you think you need to even begin forming it, go back to, what are you learning? What do you need to learn? What do you need to figure out? If you don't know how to perhaps do something like up-level your business or make your first sale, then maybe it's time, or maybe not it's time, maybe your first goal or maybe that whole year goal needs to be more about learning the process of sales better. Not hit and miss, like actually delve deep into it. Do I have this section? I'll work on that for 1 quarter. Do I have that section? I'll work on that for 1 quarter. But it's about that whole process of discovery about what is actually going to work for you, what's actually going to bring the energetic key that you want into your life. Because you need the energetic key and you need the rights of being to fuel even greater change and even greater action in your life. Because we're not just aiming for an end result. We're aiming for you being in love with who you are.